Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Allen, and I'm joined by my usual podcast partner, former NHL defenseman Tom Laidlaw, who played for the New York Rangers, and of course, the Los Angeles Kings, and even the Phoenix Roadrunners, I think, for 4 games.
New Haven Nighthawks, too, briefly.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. So he was around the block a little bit. But more importantly, happy Thanksgiving, Tom. It's
That's right. Yeah.
You're an American citizen now, but I wouldn't be shocked if you're not one of those double dippers.
Yeah, no double dipping. I have a hard time. Just our Thanksgiving dinner and Christmas dinner is just about the same too, and it's a little bit off the diet. We have to have the mashed potatoes, the stuffing, the gravy, the pies, and everything. So that really sets our diet going around. So another day of that would not be good.
Oh, so you have not celebrated the Canadian feast?
No.
Well, what's interesting is, and I'm sure Americans don't realize this, but even though the Canadian Thanksgiving is on a Monday, usually the big dinner is like over the weekend, right?
Yeah.
On Saturday.
Yeah.
So, so turkey's good for you. Stuffing.
Turkey's okay, but we get I never have regular. Actually, that's not fair. I usually never have regular potatoes. I hate the Sunday meal yesterday had little baby potatoes we did in the air fryer. But it's usually sweet potatoes. So now on Thanksgiving, we don't do sweet potatoes. We do the same thing every year. There's a tradition. So we have to have the regular mashed potatoes, the gravy, and I do make my homemade apple pie and raspberry pie as well.
Oh, okay. All right. But you have gravy on your chicken. I noticed yesterday, but was it?
I put all the vegetables on the bottom of the pan, and
right.
Actually, I put a lot of carrots in, so I put all the vegetables into the blender they're all cooked and everything like that, and blend them all up. So it came out orange. I thought, well, that's pretty festive looking. That's kind of like the Thanksgiving thing. So I made the orange gravy yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, looked good. Yeah, you need to have a Food Network show, for people who just want to live healthier, and you'll have to come up with some crazier recipes, just because I think people expect that. You can't just
It's been we were contemplating. I should ask your opinion. Contemplating doing a cooking book too.
Well, you should.
Recipe book.
Yeah. True Grit. Yeah, for sure.
True Grit recipe book. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you should definitely do that. And my wife was looking at your air fryer and said, you must have a larger air fryer than we have. So
yeah, I got a big one, because everybody I talked to about air fryers, that was a complaint that it was too small. So I got a big one. Yeah.
You just went and got a giant one, eh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, this isn't a cooking show. This is a hockey show. So we're going to
we can do it all.
Yeah, we can talk whatever we want. It's our show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, I want to talk about Taylor Hall, because I don't know how you feel about it, but I like this strategy. No one saw it coming.
Yep. Oh, no, that's true. Remember on Eklund's show, the show we did, the draft night show, the free agent night, we suggested this. Like, will we have a player like a Taylor Hall that signs a short deal and to prove that he can play and get past this pandemic thing? So,
yeah, but we didn't suggest it would be Buffalo.
No, that's true.
We thought he would sign a short deal with Colorado, or with Nashville, or with or maybe not Nashville, but Boston. In fact, I'm a little shocked at this. I mean, basically, the implication of this is he couldn't get any of the big time contenders to rise up and give him, $8 million over just for a single year. But Buffalo was willing to do it, so he's willing to do that. But I like this, because I think it really does speak to a guy that really sort of understands, what's going on here. That there's a great opportunity that for teams to lose a lot of money this season. So why not just go? And he's pretty confident he's going to play with Jack Eichel. He's probably going to have a big year if he doesn't get hurt. And then he'll look good, and then maybe we'll be out of this.
Yep.
And I say maybe because we don't know. And then next summer he'll get the big, contract either from Buffalo or some other team.
It's a great move. Now I'd be interested to see what the other offers were. Like, were the other teams just not interested at $8 million, or were they not interested at all in Taylor Hall? Listen, since he had that great year, he hasn't done that much, really, has he?
Well, no, but I don't think he got the $8 million. And if you go around, and I did this, I wrote a story for Hockey Buzz in which I took a look at the big four scorers that are left.
Right.
And start out with Hall and Hoffman. And two things that I noted in all that when in compiling that story. First, Hoffman's numbers are pretty darn similar. He's living in Hall's neighborhood with regard to production over the last 6 years.
Right.
They're similar.
Right.
In fact, Hoffman's numbers are just slightly better. Now, obviously, he's not as fast as Hall. He doesn't have the same flashiness. He's one of those guys that I think, when you get him, you're getting him for his numbers. Like, you're not expecting him to, be this great all around player. I would argue that there's more of a wow factor to Hall, but Hoffman's numbers are quite close. But the other thing I noticed when I was looking is there's no money left. Like, Nashville has a lot of money left. Columbus has some, but he has said publicly that he one of the reasons he wanted to make sure he had cap space is he was fearful of an offer sheet coming for Pierre-Luc Dubois. Right. And so he wants to protect that. So he might be able to, like, he could probably get a Davidoff, one of the big four, or maybe a Toffoli, I don't know, and then still have enough to make sure he's covered for an offer sheet. But other than that, like, most teams have, if they have any caps, they got like 7 or 8 million. So giving someone $8 million would tap them out.
Totally.
So,
well, especially with Hall, and I agree with you, Hoffman and the comparable numbers and everything. I guess the only difference would be that Hall has got, to me, much more of an upside, right? Like, he's won the MVP, so that's the guy Buffalo's hoping that they get, right? So he's banking on himself. He's thinking, okay, I think I can have a great year here in Buffalo. You're right. Play with Jack Eichel, and now I hit the market again. So you're right. It's now is more money available next summer. Is things different with the pandemic, and is my value higher? Because if he'd hit the open market after he'd won the MVP, he wouldn't be signing a 1-year deal, right? So now he's hoping to have another MVP type season that he knows he can't do. I don't know if he can do it now. I mean, Nathan McKinnon and all these other great players, but so I think you're right in that, he's understanding what the marketplace is. But I think, to me, if I'm a GM, from what I've seen, I don't know what I'm getting from Taylor Hall, right? I know what I'm getting from Hoffman. He's pretty consistent of who he is. But with Taylor Hall, is it the MVP that we had 2 or 3 years ago, or is he just a good player, like a really good player?
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I mean, the low side on Hall is he's a good player.
Yeah.
The upside is he can be spectacular.
Yeah, totally.
He
would do it this year. He's got a lot banking on it, right? I mean,
yeah, but Hall's only had one 30-goal season. And
Yeah.
that was in his MVP year.
Yeah, totally.
And he's been around a while.
Yeah, that's what scares me about him. Like, okay, why can't you, like, the real star players, like the Crosbys and the Connor McDavids and the Nathan McKinnon now, like, they do it every year. Well, I mean, listen, maybe have some down years, but to me, Taylor Hall's had the ups and downs of being bigger ups and downs, right? I mean, it took him a while to get going in Edmonton, finally gets to New Jersey, gets the MVP. And then to me, he hasn't really done it for me. He hasn't been that MVP again.
Yeah. Well, then, so anyway, we like it from Buffalo's perspective. I don't think anybody saw this coming. This will be exciting for the fans in Buffalo. I don't know. I mean, could it allow them to compete for a playoff spot? I would say compete. Like, I'm not awarding them a playoff spot based on Taylor Hall, but I'm going to say they're going to be more competitive.
Yeah, you would hope, if anything, like I saw it in LA when Wayne Gretzky showed up. Now, I'm not trying to say Taylor Hall is Wayne Gretzky, but when Gretzky showed up, we all became better players because we're like, wow, we're playing with Wayne Gretzky now. Now, again, Taylor Hall's not that level, but you would hope that the rest of the players go, okay, now they're doing something in Buffalo to make us a better team. Now, I feel like I'm a better player now too. So you hope that happens.
Yeah, that's for sure. But, if you're looking at Buffalo, Dahlin will be a little bit better. He's older. You hope Reinhart will be a little bit better. He's older. You hope Eichel will be.
Yeah.
Like, Eichel's still young. Like, he's still growing as a player. But, the goaltending's still the same.
Yeah, no kidding. Who do they have? It's terrible.
Carter Hutton.
That's right. Yes, yeah.
So, I don't know. I think I was kind of hoping that they would buy out Carter Hutton and grab one of those goalies, but it didn't happen.
It didn't seem like there was even any noise about them grabbing another goaltender.
No, there really wasn't. So I would have just had different guys just to say I have different guys, like say Grice and Jimmy Howard, or Grice and somebody,
Right.
go on the the low end of the salary scale. Although some of those goalies like Grice and got more money than I thought he would get. Maybe they just didn't want to pay that money. But the other the latest news is what's going on with Vegas, and I got to say, I don't like what I'm hearing about this. Like, it doesn't sound like our friend George McPhee.
Yeah.
Now he's obviously moved upstairs, and it's McCrimmon who's pulling all the strings there. But it doesn't seem like they're operating with the same level of efficiency that they did under George. Like, what we have here now is Peter Angelo going to Vegas, or so it seems.
Yep.
I'm assuming for more than $8 million. But in order to make that happen, they had to trade Nate Schmidt.
Right.
Now, do I like Peter Angelo more than Nate Schmidt? Yes, but I like both of these players. And is it worth it? Are you that much better?
Well, and aren't they really getting away from what I thought their identity was? I mean, it's like us against the world mentality. Nobody wants us. And I know that's an expansion team. You have to improve your talent level, but now they're going from that team that overachieves because they're such a good team to now a team with a bunch of it's more of a star-studded lineup, right? I mean,
well, they definitely have some stars, but I don't know. Like, I just think you want Peter Angelo because you have Nate Schmidt and you've got Theodore, so you add him to it. So now I'm really wondering, kind of whether that's the answer there.
Well, they still haven't moved Marc-Andre Fleury, right?
And it doesn't appear where's he going?
Yeah.
Like, I look around, and especially at half the his cap hit, like you're talking $3.5 million. Who's going to take that? Because everybody, for the most part, has a number one goalie.
Right. Like you would hope, with Stevie Yzerman in Detroit, what he did with Mark Stahl, right? Like he got a second round pick just to take Stahl, right? So it's going to have to be that same kind of thing. It's going to have to be a team that, if they can afford them and want them, they're going to have to get something back in return, right?
Well, but nobody's got that cap space available unless it's a weak team, and they're not going to do it. Yeah. The Ottawa Senators have plenty of cap space, but they don't want or need Marc-Andre Fleury. And the thing that has to be recalled here is, there's two elements. Usually when you're taking someone's bad contract, or if it's a injury situation, it's just all paperwork. You're just going to carry the cap hit. Right. But you got to really pay this. And this is a pandemic, and you're going to lose money, and you don't want to pay any more money than you have to.
What is I know I'm way off the charts here. What does Pittsburgh have for goaltending now? It's just Jari, right?
Jari, they're going to have to get a backup. Now, they were interested.
Yeah.
But they don't have any cap space to speak of. And not only that, as we talked about in the last show, they were trying to reduce the salary cap versus actual payout. Right. So, they want to keep their actual payout down around $75 million, from what I hear. Right. So,
So Marc-Andre Fleury, I'm just trying to think of another location for him.
Yeah.
What has Edmonton done for goaltending?
They just re-signed Smith.
Wow.
So they're basically back where they started. That's not what they intended to do.
Yeah.
So now, the Carolina Hurricanes obviously had a discussion with them. Now they looked at changing their goaltending, but didn't like the terms. Like a second round pick, Don Waddell didn't think was enough.
Yeah. Well, if you're getting a second round pick in the Mark Stahl deal, like Detroit did, you'd have to get more than a second round pick for Marc-Andre Fleury.
For sure. For carrying that amount of money, and for, so because they've got goaltenders they got to pay too. Like now they would, they probably could move Reimer, but as a backup for somebody.
Yeah, that's interesting. Wow.
Maybe Pittsburgh, but I don't know. It just seems like there's some.
Well, the whole defense thing to me, like when you're talking about Boston with Krug, and now he goes to St. Louis, and Pietrangelo gave up St. Louis didn't keep Pietrangelo, and now you're doing the same thing, and you're giving up Smith to get Pietrangelo in Vegas. I don't like that whole thing, those three teams. Like, to me, wouldn't I want to just keep Torrey Krug? I mean, Zdeno Chara, apparently he got we got 7 years at $6.5 million from St. Louis. Krug did.
Yeah.
And Boston was offering him 6 years at $6.5 million.
Correct.
Why not? If you're willing to spend the $6.5 million, why not? Like, is that not stubbornness to just say, I'm not going to pay the 7th year to keep Torrey Krug?
I guess I didn't understand all along why they weren't making a bigger effort. I've said before on this is that look, I get they want to get a little bit bigger, but Torrey Krug is the spunky.
He plays the game. Yeah. Well, and then the same thing with St. Louis. I mean, what's Pietrangelo going to get? $8 million a year?
Yeah, I think you might get 8.5 because they were offering 8 at 8. So
if you're going to they offered him 8 at 8.
Yeah.
St. Louis offered him that. Wow.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Wow. And they wouldn't go. I mean, if you're going to pay Torrey Krug, and I like Krug a lot, but if you're going to pay him $6.5 million, like, is Pietrangelo, he's the captain of your team. You won a Stanley Cup, and he's the guy to me. And again, I just think he's not much better. He's a better player than Krug. He has a bigger impact on your team and everything too. So why not go to if you're going to go to 8? Why not go to 8.5?
Yeah, but that's $4 million over the course of it. I mean, we talk about that, and your point's well taken, because when you're talking about a cap of $80 million, what's a $500,000 here, $500,000 there? But in the real world, that's real money.
Right.
I remember Bruce McDowell had one of my all-time favorite quotes when he owned the Kings. He said, million here, million there. Pretty soon you're talking about real money.
Yeah.
So,
that is good.
Yeah, that is good. So I don't know. I mean, I don't understand quite what the thought process is. Well, maybe I do. I mean, I think they intended to have Fleury moved, didn't get him moved,
right,
and now they're kind of stuck here. But, you bring in Pietrangelo and add him to that defense that already had Nate Schmidt and Martinez, although I thought they might have to trade Martinez to make room for Pietrangelo. But, Theodore, I mean, that's an interesting defense.
Yeah.
Now, but you take Nate Schmidt out of it, and, now I'm going, well.
They changed the identity of the team, right? I mean, it was that, like I said before, it's like that team mentality. It wasn't about winning based on our talent. It was, we were going to win because we had a team atmosphere here. Now, Pietrangelo still is a great team guy. He's a captain. And so, and they got Stone. He's the same way. He's a leader. So I think it's still a character lineup they have, but it's just a different direction they were going in. So, and then there's the talk too that it was Eklund that was telling us that a lot of people were complaining the way McCrimmon was handling himself. It wasn't even just necessarily what he was wanting to get in a trade, but the way he conducted himself too. And I don't know what the details were of that, but
yeah, I've had people say that to me as well, that they didn't like how McCrimmon was conducting business. But everybody's got their style.
Yeah, I know. Here's our girl coming up with another suggestion. Islanders need another goaltender.
Yeah.
So that would be a Lou Lamoriello kind of deal. Lou Lamoriello will wait and say, okay, you can't move Fleury, and you need to move Fleury to get Pietrangelo signed. So I'll sit here and wait, and I'll get a first-round draft pick along with taking on Fleury's contract, right? That's
the problem with that is, and let me look right here on this to make sure I'm right on this, but I'm pretty sure they have no dollars.
Oh, really?
Yeah, let me look, because I think this is an important issue, because you're right, they do need that. So teams, I'm on Cap Friendly for those of us who follow this, and I got the Islanders, and I think I had it figured out that they just had enough money. Well, they got Barzal, obviously, that they have to sign, and Ryan Pollock and Devin Taves, who I like, and I think they got to get that. So, they got 3 guys to sign, and they have $9 million left. So you can argue that they don't even have enough to take care of those 3 players.
That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah. So, and they may have to move someone anyway.
Larry Brooks had a good article, I think I saw today, talking about the Rangers and their cap space too, and how it's great to have all these good young players, but you got to remember all these young players are on the entry level deals, and they can get bonuses.
Right.
If you don't achieve the bonuses, you have to have room in your cap if they do. So you
Right.
can't you go over the cap later. So you may not have to spend that money in cash, but you got to save that cap space so that it's there for them. That's pretty interesting. You don't think about, yes, you want all ththese great young players, but that's one of the downsides of it, right? That it eats up a lot of your cap space that you may never use.
Yeah, but I'll take Capo and Lafreniere. And I'll figure it out.
Yeah. When you're winning the cup in 5 or 6 years or something.
Yeah, no, that's right. But it is. I mean, it requires creativity. And, one thing fans never hold GMs accountable on is how they manage their cap.
Yeah.
Like you never, that's particularly true in the NFL. Like if fans are discussing, it happens all the time. The
Right.
NFL, you lose the top player, and they say, "Well, we couldn't make it work. It was the cap, and it's just a cap problem. We had to let them go."
Right.
And the fans in the NFL go, "Oh well, they had cap problems. What are they going to do?" That's just the way they react.
Right.
And the NHL fans are a little bit more
You want their
angry about they want their players signed. But saying all that, I don't think they they still don't probably hold them as accountable as they should, because that's part of being a GM in the NHL. So
Absolutely. Yes.
you got to manage that cap. You got to have it ready.
So managing the cap and moving players out. I see Jonathan Taves, who usually doesn't make any comments hardly at all, and I've never seen him say anything about Blackhawks in a negative way. He's now saying that he was never informed about the rebuild, and that's what it looks like to him, that they're having a rebuild there in Chicago.
Yeah, well, it sure seems like they are. I mean, with no Crawford and no Saad, but what's interesting is Crawford is he played very well last season. Yeah, and I think that's forgotten. People concentrate on Leonard, and Leonard played well too. But the goaltending, just in general, with the Blackhawks was very good.
Right, and every time when Chicago wins the cup, I remember the last time they won the cup, he didn't. Crawford obviously did not win the Conn Smythe, but I remember at the parade, all the players getting up and saying how well he played, saying that he could have been a candidate to win the Conn Smythe.
Sure,
he was a well liked and well respected player too.
He is. Yeah, and he's he's bilingual, and so he can talk to the French media, and
that's right.
He's got a lot going, for him. I like Crawford quite a bit, and I think he's a good goalie. It's funny how often I heard in the ramp up to the free agency, we're going to talk to Crawford. Like Detroit was interested in him.
Right.
I heard that Colorado was interested in him. They didn't end up making a move. Maybe they thought they were going to get him for a lot less, or maybe they just decided, I said I'm sticking with my goalies. But you heard a lot of teams, were interested in him, because I think everybody knows, first of all, he's a pretty good goalie. He's been a good goalie for a long time, and he's a good guy, good in the room. So
that means a lot too. It means a lot.
Yeah.
Hey, I know we're both football fans. Did you watch the Giants and Dallas play yesterday?
Yeah, I was, as part of my new freelance, as we all know, as some of you know, I have to write about the NFL on Sunday. I do a little bit of analysis, so I do watch the games because I had to write about the Week 6 advance on the Browns versus the Steelers. Which
where can people see you? Where do they go to see you do that?
Sportsbettingdime.com. Or you can just usually I put mine on Facebook. I have a Facebook that I do for my sports writing, and also Twitter, of course, as well. Although for some reason I keep forgetting to put these stories up on Twitter. It's ridiculous.
So in that game, did you see the Dak?
I did. That was hard to watch. Yeah. It was as gruesome as you want to see. I know some people have compared it to Theismann. I think when you start comparing the gruesomeness of things, that's over the top. But and what was so bothersome to me is, and it's just because I'm such a sports fan. Most sports fans are partisan. Sports fans, it's their teams, but. Because I'm a sports writer, that's not the way that I see things. I just like good competition and great athletes, and I watch that. And Prescott had played so well this season. 500-yard games and 400-yard games and comebacks, and he just has been doing it. getting it done, and for that to happen to him, you could just see
Yeah.
how deflated his teammates were.
Well, though Andy Dalton came in and did a pretty good job.
Did a real good job. Yeah. Well, it's funny. So, you buy that insurance policy.
Yeah.
You see it on all sports, and how much you want to spend. Well, they went out and their insurance policy was, and maybe they did it because he was a free agent,
right?
And they thought, well, we're going to lose him. But Dalton has started and played in a lot of NFL games, and holds records with the Cincinnati Bengals for what he's done there. So it wasn't like they're some untested guy who had thrown 19 passes in his 7 years in the NFL. This is a guy who
What's the worst injury that we think we've seen in the NHL that's comparable to that? We think nothing like that, like broken.
No, I think of the the Yuri Fisher heart-stopping thing. And Pronger took a shot to the chest once. And
how about Malarchuk in Buffalo many years ago, right back?
That was a horrible one.
Oh, that was terrible. That was really gruesome.
Yeah, that's with just blood everywhere.
So people that don't remember, for Clint Malarchuk was playing goalie for the Buffalo Sabres back in the mid-'80s, I think it was, right? Early mid-'80s, something like that.
Yeah, late 80s, I think.
Yeah, somebody came crashing through the net. I can't remember which team it was. Even the game was in Buffalo. I forget. Crashed in the net and sliced what did he slice open? And he was bleeding, like the blood was just pumping out of him.
Yeah, it was.
His neck.
Yeah, it was one of the main arteries. One of the main arteries. Anyway, I wouldn't want to speak to it.
I mean, it's one of those scenes where you can see the players on the ice. You're just like, and I think some doctors from up in the stands jumped down on the ice, I think, to help save his life, because ultimately he could have bled to death on the ice.
Oh yeah, real easily. Yeah, no, this is I've seen a few injuries where I didn't like to see. I was actually, believe it or not, in Olympia when Wolf Paymont rearranged Polonich's nose with that two-handed baseball swing. I was sitting in the stands. It was down at my end, and I had a pretty good look at it. And he ended up having a broken nose, but that was the most violent play I've ever seen in sports. And
wait, you watch some old videos. You'd see the old days, like in the 50s and 60s, where the swinging the stick at each other's head was it happened.
Yeah, some of those swings, though. I mean, the difference. You've been out there. When someone's really trying to hurt you, and just when it's and so some of those, I think, were, they swung their stick, but either they knew they wouldn't make contact, or they knew they were getting them on the shoulder or thing. I thought that the Paymont Polonich thing was like real intent. Like it was a swing. It was like he was like Mickey Mantle trying to hit it on the right field porch.
I guess we had Dino Ciccarelli. Maybe Dino Ciccarelli went after Luke Richardson one time. Didn't he get charged, I think, too, in Toronto, where he was?
Yeah, it was. Just all those kinds of.
We had, I don't know if we ever told you the story, but we had George McPhee and Steve Richmond. Steve Richmond actually works for Washington Capitals now, and he and George were good friends before this, and they stayed good friends after. But we were in practice one time back in the 80s where we didn't wear helmets in practice. And something happened to the two of them. George was a tough player. Steve wasn't as much a tough guy fighter, but he played the game hard. Something happened in practice, and they started swinging sticks at each other's heads, and they were trying to hurt each other. Like the two of them had just lost their minds entirely and were going after each other. And it was one of those, usually, fights happen in practice and everybody jumps in and pulls them apart, but we couldn't get in to stop them for a second. We had to wait until there was a chance to get in. So we jumped in and separated them. And then we took them in the trainer's room. And the funny part was, I guess it's kind of funny, but we get them in the trainer's room and they're cut up and everything, and the trainer's going to take care of it. The trainer convinced us to, okay, you can leave these guys alone, because we stayed in the training room because these guys still wanted to kill each other. And the trainer convinced us that no, he had everything under control. So we all left the training room, went up the ice. All of a sudden, they started throwing chairs at each other in the training room. But it's funny. I think what happened after was, and again, like I said, they're really good friends. I think both of them wrote letters to each other, like apologized, saying how much they respected each other. And like I said, they became even better friends after the fact. But it was funny after. I mean, it wasn't funny at the time. It was just one of those things you're looking and go, whoa, you just can't believe this is happening. But
Yeah, yeah. Well, the game was a little more vicious than it is today. Now, and I think the strength of the Players Association helps in this regard. That guys know each other from player meetings.
It's good and bad, right? Because the old school guys like us, we didn't want to be friends with the guys on the other teams.
Right.
Part of the game was part of the lore of the game was that you hated the enemy, right? Especially the guys like the Islanders and Flyers that we played against all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it was said that the couple of the Sutter brothers during the season when they were in their brother's city would not have dinner with their brother.
Totally, yeah.
Because of this, and it's not that way now. Now teammates get together. Like if you played with a guy, like you see it now after a game. If you're a reporter and you're coming out of the locker room, you'll see somebody. If you're at a Blues Chicago game, you'll see a Blues player and a Chicago player leaning against a wall, talking because they were teammates at somewhere.
Well, I'll give you an example. Eddie Hosper played with Eddie here in New York, and then he got traded, I think, first to Hartford and then to Philly. Anyways, he was with the Flyers, and we're in the Spectrum, and it was a warm-up before the game. And Eddie's skating around, so we all start shooting pucks at Eddie's skates. Like it's part of like a joke. So all of a sudden these pucks go flying through and kind of hit Eddie in the skate. Well, I guess Mike Keenan was coaching and saw this happening. And Ben Steady took him out of the lineup, wouldn't play him that night because he saw that we were joking around with him during warm-up. So that's pretty good. We'll do it again because Eddie didn't care who he's playing against. He was going to play tough. So
one of the famous ones of a coach is Manson. I'm drawing a blank on his first name.
Dave Manson.
Dave Manson.
Yeah, they call him Charlie. Charlie Manson, yeah.
Yeah, Charlie. They call him Charlie. That's right. That's why I couldn't call his first name because I knew it wasn't Charlie.
Yeah.
But anyway, he and Keenan was railing on him between periods and at the time, and for some reason Manson was taking his skates off, and he had one in his hand and just started going after him, holding that skate, chasing Keenan out of the room.
Oh, that's classic.
Yeah, so I mean, I've had that verified by a couple of guys in the room that happened. So
I'm surprised that didn't happen more often with Keenan because he was arrogant and rude. We had Clark Gillies on our podcast with Dave Maloney and Ron Grescher, probably about a month and a half ago, and he told a story about how when he'd gotten traded to Buffalo, and Ted Sater was up in Buffalo coaching. He did something to him, like threw him out late in the game, and somebody was looking for a fight. Anyways, put Clark in a tough spot. And Ted Sater came in the locker room after and kind of tried to pat Clark Gillies on the shoulder, say, great job out there, whatever. Gillies was hot. Said he told us a story about how he stood up and threw Ted Sater across the room. So wow. Yeah.
Wow.
That's Clark Gillies telling us the story. So it's right from the horse's mouth. So
yeah. Well, I've got a story that's in along those lines, but it's reverse. Yeah. And we don't normally think of Scotty Bowman's compassionate side. But I did Darren McCarty's book with them, and this story is in the book when one of the guys, like McCarty was a fighter and a brawler, but he was a light heavyweight. He was not a true heavyweight. He didn't weigh enough. Like he would fight him, but he had no business being fighting with Donald Brashears and the guy that he fought with that just scared the bejeebies out of him was Tony Twist.
Oh,
he said Tony Twist was maniacal.
Yeah.
And he said, I was Tim about, and he said, I fought him one time. And he said, I just kind of held my own. And, to me, it was a win if I survived the fight. And Tony wanted to go again. And he said, we were near the bench and I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't really want to fight him again. All of a sudden I look at him, it's Scotty, and he's come to the front of the bench and he's yelling at me. And he said, McCarty, if you fight him one more time, you'll sit on the bench for 10 games or something to that effect. And McCarty said, I turned to Twist and said, can't go. I got on the bench, put my head down. I said, thanks, Scotty.
Yeah, no kidding. That is pretty interesting. That's a great story.
Yeah, that is. So anyway, we've, as usual, gone a little bit long, but we hope you've enjoyed the hockey talk here on the Laidlaw and Allen Report. I'm Alan. He's Laidlaw. We'll be back on Wednesday.
See you Wednesday, guys.